Hey everyone, Effie here. Today I am going to make this card using our fancy foliage and Ditzy Bits stamp sets. So we're going to start off by taking the solid most stamp in our 6x6" fancy foliage set, and we're just going to stamp it onto a piece of cardstock panel. I'm going to stamp this using our soft garden dye ink. This is the first layer. Once this is stamped, I'm just going to rotate my card panel or my panel and then stamp this image once again in our bright fern dye ink, which is slightly darker than our soft garden ink. Next, I'm going to stamp the second detail layer of this set, and I'll stamp it in our Basil Mojito dye ink. As I stated earlier, this is the detail stamp, and it's completely optional. You don't have to stamp the second layer. You can just stamp the first solid layer and stamp it multiple times on different panels to mass produce foliage pieces or die cuts. Now I'm just going to stamp the rest of my panel. I'm just stamping the solid image in our Basil Mojito dye ink and then also our Everglade Moss dye ink. And here I just have a panel of beautiful foliage images. And just as a PSA, you want to clean your stamps after you use them so that you can see through your stamp to line up those bars and squares. The alignment guides are strategic markers for layering stamps, and we have currently a patent pending for this organization and layering system. This layering system helps you align your different layers in layering stamps so that stamping is effortless and easy each and every time. Next, I took the coordinating die cut for our fancy foliage set. It is one single die that will cut out all 5 images at once, making it super duper easy to mass produce these die cuts. So I just went ahead and die cut the rest of my panel. This is actually a really great way to jumpstart your creative mojo. If you find yourself in a creative rut, you can just stamp a bunch of these panels so that you're spending your crafty time doing something somewhat productive for future use. Next, I'm going to take our Ditzy Bit stamp and stamp the leaf or foliage layer first. I'm using our bright fern dye ink, and the reason why I'm stamping this stamp first is because it is going to be the darkest layer on my panel. I'm using our Beach Blondie and Amber Citrine dye inks for the 2 floral layers, and these are somewhat lighter, so I wanted to stamp the darkest foliage layer first so that I can see the strategic markers clearly through the clear stamps. Like our fancy foliage set, our 4x6" Ditzy Bit set is also a patent pending grouped layering stamp set, which also has a coordinating die, a single die that will cut out all images in one single pass. Since our bit sets are smaller, they don't contain as many layers, so these are quick and easy stamping projects. Next, I'm going to take our A2 quilted die and our double stitched A2 cover plate die, and I'm going to die cut A2 size panels. A2 is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I will put both of these cover plate dies through my die cutting machine at the same time, and you can see here this is the quilted die. It is so cute. They have these little tiny heart details with stitching details. I love it. And this other cover plate die will create double stitched frames in one shot, so I'm just going to use the third largest one for my card. Next, I'm going to glue the quilted panel onto an A2 size panel, which will later go onto a card base. Then I will pop up my frame die cut. The other double stitch frames that I cut, I will just put aside and use for a future project. With some of the new products that I've been releasing the last few months, I'm all about mass producing or trying to make it as easy as possible for you guys to create. So that means doing less in the same amount of time that you're sitting at your craft desk, but still making it enjoyable for you to craft. So that means less things running through your die cutting machine or stamping certain images and then die cutting those images. I wanted to make the tedious processes of crafting a little bit less painful, I guess. So here I just popped up and glued all of my bits onto my card base, and then I'm just going to use this Hello Sentiment from our Ribbons General set. I had this already cut out, so I'm not going to show you how I stamped and die cut it. I will link the video of the entire process of stamping this set out in the description box so you can see how it's done, but it's very easy. It's similar to the rest of our grouped layering stamps. So I popped up the Hello Sentiment and then finished off the card with our enamel dewdrop dots, and here is the completed card. This was a card that I created for our Instagram hop during our past release, but I just didn't have time to make the video. So you can see the Hello Lovely card on the left. That was the previous card, and I just recreated it using the different sentiment. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's project and video. If you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel because I update it regularly. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.